Hello, I'm Arkady Sakhartov, and I am presenting a study co-authored with Emilie Feldman entitled Resource Redeployment and Divestiture as Strategic Alternatives. Our study is inspired by our conversations with managers in real multi-business firms that face the need to exit businesses where the resources were not used with the highest possible efficiency. Such a need is especially acute in high-tech firms whose business environment changes very fast and demands the respective urgent changes in corporate scope. So Google is an example of a high-tech firm that operates in the dynamic environment where frequent changes in technology and consumer tastes make the firm exit some of its businesses, either by selling them or by redeploying resources to other projects within the firm. This slide displays a few recent examples where Google had to exit its businesses. Let me give you a brief overview of two streams of research on business exit. First, studies of resource redeployment, which is my primary focus, propose that managers should redeploy resources within their firm by withdrawing them from the business where the resources are underemployed and switching them to another business where those resources can be used more efficiently. Second, research on divestiture, which is Emilie Feldman's agenda, advocates that managers should sell businesses containing underutilized resources. Performance is a key determinant of both options. With redeployment, business exit is induced by a performance disadvantage of the focal business relative to another business in the firm. With divestiture, in turn, low performance of the divesting firm overall, or of the specific divested business, in absolute terms, motivates exit. Both options are impeded by implementation costs. With redeployment, such costs characterize the repurposing of the resources for their new use in a different business. With divestiture, implementation costs are incurred when the resale market for the divested resources is thin, and those resources have to be sold at a discount. Finally, both exit options require the prudent timing, so that the time when the business is exited is indeed the best possible one between the present time and the end of the useful life of the firm's resources. Despite the shared focus on business exit, the two streams of research developed separately from each other. Observing that the same firm, like Google, interchangeably uses the two options, Emilie and I are trying to break the wall between the two research streams. Our study considers a firm, like Google, that initially deploys most of its resources, such as software engineers and hardware, in the core business I, say advertising, and the rest of the resources in the peripheral business J, for example, the blog publishing service. The firm can exit its peripheral business through either resource redeployment or divestiture. Our study involves the three groups of determinants that were raised in the previous research on business exit. This slide shows how the odds of business exit change over time. There are two key observations here. First, the dynamics for both exit options have bell curves. The odds of exit grow initially, but then decline eventually over time. And second, the dominant exit option switches over time, whereas redeployment is the preferred strategy for an earlier exit. Divestiture becomes the dominant strategy for a later exit. In other words, a firm facing the need to exit its business should better consider resource redeployment first and leave divestiture for the last resort. Let's now focus on implementation costs. What happens if managers consider only one exit option and disregard another? This figure shows the probability that the firm exits its business by redeployment when divestiture is not considered. In that case, the divestiture cost does not change the odds of exit, and the redeployment cost has a uniform negative effect on those odds. The next figure displays the probability that the firm exits its business by divestiture when redeployment is not considered in turn. Here, the redeployment cost plays no role, and the divestiture cost uniformly reduces the odds of exit. Two figures at the bottom of this slide show a more inclusive setting where the firm counts on both exit options. You can see that now the divestiture cost does affect the odds of exit by redeployment. First, the change in color along the vertical axis from dark blue at the bottom to orange at the top shows that the divestiture cost directly increases the use of redeployment. Second, the magnitude of the effect of the redeployment cost on the use of redeployment declines from the top to the bottom of the figure. This means that only when the divestiture cost is very high will the redeployment cost have the strong impact that would occur when divestiture is disregarded. In the bottom right panel, you can now see that the redeployment cost does affect the use of divestiture. The graph changes color along the horizontal axis from dark blue at the left margin to orange at the right margin, thus showing that the redeployment cost directly increases the use of divestiture. Also, the magnitude of the effect of the divestiture cost on the use of divestiture declines to the left margin of the panel. This means that only when redeployment costs are very high will the divestiture cost have the impact present in ignoring redeployment. So did we really have to break the wall between the two streams of research? We think so. We have come up with a few results that were not available in previously separate accounts of redeployment and divestiture. First, the use of redeployment or of divestiture for business exit should be very carefully timed. While redeployment is the preferred strategy for an earlier exit, divestiture is the last resort for exit. Second, the ignorance of an alternative exit option leads to the bias in the use of the only considered option and to the respective loss in corporate value. We hope that those results will lay the groundwork for better decision-making by corporate managers and for better empirical tests in corporate strategy research. Thank you for watching this presentation. Please watch other videos on my YouTube channel on resource redeployment.